name is Maureen Gillespie and I'm interviewing artists from Bicester Artweeks, which we have a virtual exhibition from the 1st to the 16th of May, and then a physical exhibition from the 17th to 24th of May at Bicester Hotel and Spa. I would like to introduce you to Cathy Read. Cathy, welcome.
Hello.
Tell me something about yourself and your art.
What can I tell you about myself? Well, I started off, I've always been, like most artists, I've always had an interest in art, and then I was persuaded to do other things, and I went into occupational therapy. So I did occupational therapy for a while, and then it got to a point where I had 3 children, I was working with children, and it was just all getting a bit too much. And at the time my son was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome, so that sort of made the situation more complicated. So at that point I decided I needed to stop and focus on the family. So I quit I had a private practice at the time, so I quit that, wound all that up, and the intention was to go back to art, to OT when my son started school. And during that time I thought I'd always wanted to be an artist, and I managed to be persuaded against it. So I thought, well, now's maybe the time that I try it, and if I don't try it now, I'm probably going to regret it. So I started off with caricatures and portraits, right? Because I'd always done portraits, and I've always been able to get a reasonable likeness. So I thought, well, I'll start off with that, and did lots of studying because I hadn't really done much drawing in that time. So I got a few books and did some courses, and at the same time I was exploring other things. Yeah. And I started working with masking fluid.
Oh, that's very interesting.
I was very interested in trying to create textures.
Yes.
And masking seemed the way to go. And so the first one I did was a little picture of flowers.
Right.
And it turned out quite well. I thought, oh, that works quite well. And but I wasn't happy with how I was applying it. I was using something called a colour shaper. Right. So it's basically like a paintbrush, but just a shape of rubber. And I did that, and then I suddenly remembered I'd been given this math set when I was about 11. And I thought, I've got that upstairs, and it has got this ruling pen in it. I thought, that might work quite well. And I used it, and it did. So I thought, now there are compasses here. So I started doing lots of circle things and really just experimenting with abstract and how the paint worked, how the inks worked. I was using watercolour and acrylic ink. Right. Mainly. I tried a few other things, mica powder and other bits and pieces, but I kept falling back to the watercolour and acrylic ink. And after a while I started thinking, I'd grown up in Manchester, so I was around a lot of cotton mills growing up, and a lot of them have vanished.
Yes.
I love these old buildings. I used to walk past them on the way to school, so I thought it'd be quite nice to maybe capture some of those while I still had the opportunity.
So just a question on that, how did you capture them? Did you take sketches first of all when you were walking around, or did you take photographs, or did you do it from memory?
I worked on photographs.
Okay.
I learned fairly quickly that if I wanted to do anything, that I wanted my own photographs, because I could never find the photograph I wanted.
No.
So it was much easier to have the camera, plus you're not caught up with any copyright issues.
No, that's true.
And it allows you to really experiment with things. So I took a camera and just wandered around. And while I was wandering around, I found some other wonderful buildings in the centre of Manchester where they've rebuilt after the 96 bombing. They refurbished whole areas of Manchester. Yeah. And these were really fascinating. So I sort of took lots of photographs of those. And initially I was just going to do them like a collage. Because that was one of the techniques I was experimenting with, but I wondered how these abstract technique might translate to buildings. Yeah. So I started doing them.
Brilliant.
And it's just snowballed from there, really.
That's fantastic. Well, I mean, I've seen the images that you've created, and they're brilliant. And so I think that's a great passion for you. What do you think, what do you want the viewer to feel when you look at your work?
I like a wow. It's really good when somebody comes in and goes, wow, what's that? Yeah. And I do. It is nice. I do get that from time to time. Not all the time, but I do. And I think I want to be able to see the buildings as being alive, and imagine what the people who inhabit those buildings are doing, what their lives might be like, what their work might be like. Very often it's office blocks, but sometimes it's other buildings, churches and things like that. And particularly with the factories, the mills.
Gosh, yeah.
It's a wondering. They've been there like 100 years, and you can
Mm.
imagine 100 years of people going in there
Yeah.
every day, and what were their lives like, and that really.
That's fascinating.
And I'd like to think I often do like a blown ink technique,
All right. Mhm.
and I like to think that of the energy of the life within a building, because any building you're going to find it's influenced by whoever's living there.
Yes. Yeah.
And you can always tell a building that's been derelict as opposed
Yeah.
to one that's being cared for and actively used.
Exactly, yeah. But it's a great sort of recording of history really over the time, I think, and what you've actually put into your pictures, and the colour, so vibrant, which is fantastic. So what do you hope to get out of, well, the virtual exhibition is one thing, which is always difficult, I think, but what do you hope to get out of the physical exhibition?
I think I can't remember who said it now, but I've read it recently. I think it was David Bowie. That was it.
Right.
And he was saying that art is one thing, but art doesn't become complete until it's been seen by people.
That's true.
And there's something. Virtual exhibitions are great, and they've come on such a long way. There's so much you can do with them now.
Yeah.
But there's no substitute for actually being in the physical space as a work of art. And it's almost like you can touch the hand, the spot where the artist has touched.
Yeah.
And that's what, certainly when I go to exhibitions, I look for.
I see. Okay.
And also people come along and they see something that you haven't necessarily seen in a work of art. And they'll come at it from a different perspective. See, you always get new insights when you talk to people about art.
Yeah, well, that's brilliant. Well, look, thank you very much indeed. I hope you do really well.
Thank you.
It's going to be an interesting exhibition. I'm exhibiting as well, but let's hope that we'll get some good sales and get appreciation for what we've done. But thank you again for the interview this morning.